So in today's video, I'm going to identify some common problems that you may come across with DTF printers and how to fix them. So the first problem that you may come across is having thin white ink. You may already know this, but DTF printers will print a white underbase layer under your prints. And so if your white layer is coming out translucent or very thin or see-through, it could be that you simply need to do a print head cleaning or a nozzle cleaning, and that should fix the problem for most cases. Sometimes if your white ink layer is translucent, it could be because you're low on white ink. And you can also check this by looking at your white ink tubes as well. If it's empty or it looks like there's a lot of air bubbles in it or air in it, then you may be running low on white ink. Now, if you've tried everything that I mentioned and it still doesn't work, the last thing that you could do is grab the syringe that's in your accessory box and take out the white ink damper. That's a little square thing that sits right on top of the print head, and withdraw about 5 milliliters of white ink. And you can just simply squirt it back into the white ink container just to save ink. What this does is it pretty much draws the white ink from the tubes, get them flowing. Maybe you haven't printed enough or the white ink has been sitting a while and it just needs to flow through there. In my experience, that really helps and it really clears up the white ink. After you do that, just do a simple print head cleaning and your white ink should be thicker and less translucent. And if you don't know what a damper is, it looks like this, but it's sitting on top of your print head. When you take it out of the print head, just lift it up upside down like this, and you'll see a hole right at the bottom. Just stick the syringe in there and pull out about 5 milliliters of white ink. If you have a F8, it should be 2 dampers for the white ink. The F13 also has 2 dampers for the white ink. The P13 also 2 dampers. The only one that has, I believe, 5 dampers is the DTF Pro. You have to pull 5 milliliters from each of the white ink dampers. And this is what the syringe looks like. It should come in your accessory kit. Someone has said in the comments that their syringe doesn't fit in their damper. It should fit in all of the dampers. I'm not sure why it wouldn't fit. The only thing that I can think of is that they tried to put this inside of the damper, and this is probably not going to fit. So you have to make sure that you have the orange tip on top of the syringe there. If you don't have the orange tip on there, it's not going to pull any ink. So put the orange tip on the syringe and put the syringe into the damper like that and pull 5 milliliters of ink out. And then you can just squirt it back into your white ink container. Now make sure that your syringe is clean before you do that. If you have like ink in there, a different color ink, don't use it. Make sure you clean it first because you don't want to mix any ink. Many times after you've done all of these steps, you may have to do multiple print head cleaning or nozzle cleaning. And just do a nozzle check to make sure that all the white squiggly lines are on the film. If after about 2 or 3 print head cleanings and you haven't seen any improvement in the white ink, the nozzle check still shows a lot of breakage in the lines, then I will contact Pro Color and see what are the next steps as to improving the white ink. The next one is adjusting your canvas in the Pro Rip software. Depending on what printer you have or even what film that you buy, because there's about 3 different sizes of rolls of film. There's like an 8.2 inch, 11.6 inch, I believe. And then there's a 13 inch roll of film. So anytime that you buy film, if you're buying a different size, you have to go into the Pro Rip software and set the new settings for your new film. Now, even though the 13 inch roll of film says 13 inch, it's actually a little bit below 13 inch. You can actually measure it yourself and then just type in that number inside of your canvas. As far as the length of the canvas, I usually have it at about 60 inches, which is 5 feet. You can set yours longer if you want. I just find that 60 inches is good because it doesn't make the canvas look so small on the computer screen. Now, even if you set the length at 60 inches or whatever you set it as, you can still print beyond that. The next common problem is that whenever you try to open the Pro Rip software, you get a pop-up that says Dongle Not Detected. All of your printers, when you first receive them, should come with a blue USB dongle. It's like a USB flash drive and it's blue. If you didn't receive one of these with your printer, make sure you contact Pro Color so they can ship you one. because you won't be able to print or use the ProGrip software without this dongle. And the dongles are interchangeable with all of their printers, as far as I know, as of the recording of this video. I haven't tested the K13 Lite, but all the other printers, the dongles are interchangeable. Another common issue that you may come across with DTF printing is in the middle of a print, you may get like a black smear or a smear on your image. I know it's so frustrating when this happens to me. I'm in the middle of a really large print and I notice a smear. So the reason why this happens is that over time ink will dry up and then it starts to clump. And when it does, sometimes whenever you print, it will smear your image or your print. So it's very important to check under your print head maybe once a week to make sure that there's no buildup of ink around the print head. If you do notice that there is buildup under your print head, you can simply clean it with some cotton swabs. Usually they're provided inside of the accessory box. So here's a pack of blue ones. They're a little bit shorter. You can just put some print head cleaning solution on there and just clean around under the print head. You can purchase print head cleaning fluid. I believe ProColor sells that. But I also find that the nozzle fluid or print head fluid that comes inside of the accessory box or the ink box also does a pretty good job of cleaning up the ink as well. Before we continue with the video, if your goal isn't just to learn about t-shirts, but to actually turn it into real income, I'm hosting a free t-shirt income masterclass. This is for people who want to stop guessing, stop binge watching random YouTube videos, and have a clear path from setup to selling. The outcome is real simple: having fewer mistakes, more clarity, and a faster path to making money with this. It's completely free and I have links down in the description below. Let's get back to the video. If the paper button and the ink button located on the front of your printer are blinking both simultaneously at the same time, then it could be an encoder problem with the printer. The first thing you want to do is just turn off your printer completely by pressing the power button on the front of the printer and also turning off the switch on the back of the printer, shutting it down completely and waiting for about 10 seconds. So if you've powered down your printer and you powered it on and it's still having the same issue, it could be the encoder. So the encoder is like a transparent strip and it could be dirty, and that could be what's triggering the double flashing or blinking lights. And to clean the encoder strip is very simple. You can get like a cotton swab, put a little bit of rubbing alcohol on it and just wiping down the encoder. Or you can just use the cotton ball by itself with no rubbing alcohol if you don't have any in the house at the moment. Or inside of the accessory kit that comes with your printer, they do have some cleaning cloths as well. When you're doing this, make sure that the printer is turned off. Once you've cleaned the encoder strip, turn it back on and see if that helps. Now, if you ever get a paper jam or a film jam inside of your printer, I typically see this with the F8, F13, and K13 models. If the film jams and the paper or film button on the front is blinking, remove the film or whatever that's being jammed. Turn off your printer completely and then turn it back on. It's kind of weird because the paper jam button is an actual button. You figured if you remove the jam, you could press that button and it should stop blinking. But even though it is an actual button, whenever my film would jam, pressing the button doesn't fix the blinking problem. I actually have to turn the printer off. So it's just weird how it works like that. Another problem that I see come up is the smearing or bleeding of the ink. When your printer is printing, the ink seems like it's very watery and it just kind of, smears or just bleeds off. If this happens to you, it could be that your heat setting is not set properly. On every DTF printer, on the front, you'll see like a temperature control panel. It's either on the left side or the right side on the front of the printer. Typically, out of the box, it's set at 40 degrees Celsius, and even though the temperature may fluctuate, it usually is pretty close to the 40 degrees Celsius. It could be like 36, 37, but typically it's very close. If yours is way off, like it's in the teens or the 20s, then your setting may be off and you may need to adjust it manually. And to do this, it's simple. Just click the set button on the front and then press up or down and adjust it to 40 degrees Celsius. And then press the set button again and it should lock it in. The reason why the ink may be bleeding or really watery is because the temperature needs to be set at 40 degrees Celsius. What this does is that it warms up or heats up the ink and it cures it. Now, if your temperature box says 40 degrees Celsius or something close to that, and your ink is still bleeding or smearing, you may want to reach out to Pro Colored because it could be something wrong with your temperature box, and just see what they say, and they could diagnose it and see what the problem is. That's all I have for this video. I hope it was helpful. Thank you for watching.